As a YouTuber, I see a lot of comments talking about remasters. I ever so slightly touched on this last year in an Ask Hippo, but it's something I want to talk about because I see a lot of comments saying, please can we get a Carbon remaster? Please can we get, you know, a Most Wanted remaster? Please can we get a Midnight Club remaster? And it's something which I just want to cover. Remasters are a very weird and touchy subject, and only in certain situations can they be done right. It would be pretty cool, not gonna lie. You know, the little inner black box fanboy in me would absolutely love to see a Most Wanted remaster, or even, you know, let's say Midnight Club, if that was to happen, because realistically Midnight Club's dead. If anyone was gonna remaster a game, Midnight Club does make sense. And unlike Most Wanted, I feel like Midnight Club actually does make sense for a remaster. We've heard rumors about Burnout Paradise getting a remaster soon, and that's obviously, you know, up in the air and stuff. But for me and Need for Speed at least, I don't think I'd want to see one. It's known fact that Ghost are the only company working on Need for Speed. So obviously, if they were to work on a remaster at the same time, that would probably take numbers down from the amount of people that are working on the actual game. And the mere fact that Ghost are a small studio to begin with, that's not something I'd want to see from them. Now, with that being said, if it didn't hinder the development of the next game too much, or the post updates for the current game too much, I don't think I'd mind. But there's so many things and so many aspects which, you know, developers and, you know, game companies need to do to get a remaster right, and that's something which I kind of want to talk about in this video. Capturing the original feel is something which is very, very important, and usually quite easy to do because it's literally just a reskin of the same game. Some developers will go above and beyond to kind of give you that original feel. For example, we've seen with a lot of games, you have the option to have the standard version and then the HD version, and you can flick between the two. The most notable version, the most notable remaster that actually did this was Halo back in the day. Again, I'm not going to ramble about it too much because that was a shooter and this is a racing game channel. But Halo did that back in the day, and that was awesome. The ability to switch between remastered graphics and normal graphics back to back was awesome. That was something which really made it unique, and adding little intricacies like that for me make a remaster special. I've already sank months on months on months into Most Wanted, into Carbon, into Underground. So obviously I would play through it again and I would enjoy the game for what it is, but to truly keep a fan base playing, they would have to go above and beyond without changing the core game structure. How not to do it is what COD 4 did. COD 4 added guns in supply drops, and I loved COD 4. COD 4 is one of my favourite games of all time. Again, not a racing game, but it kind of applies to what I'm going to say. Don't add new content, especially behind microtransactions and in the way they did in a grindy nature. That is rule number one. I feel like everyone knows this now because of the whole Star Wars thing, but like, this is a thing. What retard in the back of Activision thought, you know what? We're gonna add new guns to a remaster, and then you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna add in loot boxes. Don't think EA would do that after the whole Battlefront thing, but you get my point. Pretty obvious there's good and bad ways to do the whole remaster thing, and definitely keeping the core game's like features and functions without, you know, ruining what the game is very important. Also, selling DLC. Again, COD 4, I'm going to use this as an example. Why on earth were the remastered maps sold as DLC? I do not know. Let's say this Burnout remaster does come out. God forbid anyone has to pay for Big Surf Island as a separate DLC in the future for a remaster. Effectively, that's what COD 4 did. I would not wish that upon anyone. That makes no sense if you're doing a remaster. Should be the complete version of the game. It should be the final version of the game with everything included, and it should be, you know, the ultimate package, you know, some fan service, you know, to the people that you're making this game for. That's another thing that, you know, a lot of companies do, nickel and diming. Obviously Activision very much so, but that's one thing that I definitely wouldn't want to see if that was a thing. Online support is something which is really interesting. Let's say a Most Wanted remaster was to happen. Let's say hypothetically that was to happen. I feel like an online rework would still work within the confines of that game. That game didn't have online free roam, didn't have cops and robbers mode, but I feel like if an online, you know, multiplayer remaster was to be a thing, I wouldn't mind if they rejigged and redid the multiplayer, because all that's really doing is making it a better experience for you guys. I don't really have an issue with that. There's obviously some things that I wouldn't want them to do, like maybe add new cars, or, you know, maybe, I don't even know, maybe add more bumpers and stuff, because I'd want it to be the core game. But stuff like a multiplayer remaster, or just being able to bind your button keys and stuff, those types of things are things which I would be very welcome to. Now, the reason I don't want to see a Need for Speed remaster, you know, specifically, obviously I would love to see a Midnight Club remaster, I'd love to see a Burnout remaster, because those series are dead and those series are long gone, and it would be pretty cool to revisit, you know, some of the greatest racing game series of all time. The reason why I wouldn't want to see Need for Speed, you know, other than the fact that, you know, Ghost would be working on it, is because I do genuinely feel like those games are still being supported by the community. Burnout and Midnight Club are dead. They're long dead. But if you look at Most Wanted, at least, and Underground, I mean, Underground just got a free roam mod, and I feel like you're not filling a gap which needs to be filled. The community is still supporting those games heavily. You know, there's not really a Midnight Club LA scene anymore. You know, there's not really a Midnight Club 3 scene anymore. But if you go on, you know, Underground, there is mod support for that game, and there is still people playing that game, and there's still online services where you can, you know, play that game with your friends. Game Ranger is the first one that comes to mind, where you can actually go on that game and play with friends. Doesn't fill a gap in the market that needs to be filled, as where something like, let's say, Burnout Paradise, well, PC didn't even get any DLC. So if this Burnout remaster was to come to PC, that is a complete, like, you know, gap in the market which they could fill. Obviously, PS4 and Xbox One are, you know, less so for Xbox One because it's on backwards compatibility, but they are very much missing that kind of over-the-top, ridiculous arcade racer. The only one I can think of, which is coming relatively soon, is Onrush. There's a gap in the market. I don't think Most Wanted is dead. Obviously, the game is over 10 years old at this point. So naturally, with that being said, it is not alive. The servers are down. You know, the game is old. It's an old game. And yes, in that regard, a remaster would work. But at the same time, that game is still being supported. And the mere fact that game is still being supported is a reason enough for me not to want the game. If I was given the option to, you know, have resources being put in that, or be put elsewhere into other projects, I would much rather it be put into other projects. And that's really what it comes down to, is the manpower. There was a bit of a kerfuffle on the Need for Speed subreddit recently regarding some bullying of the devs and stuff. And it kind of, like, it's one of those things. I was quite disappointed when I saw it all. It was like, why is everyone arguing? Like, how old is everyone? You know, there's always been, like, arguments in this like like community we have, and I've talked about this previously in, you know, my Need for Speed community video. But it, you know, it came back to the point of, you know, devs are only human. They can't like do everything, and, you know, just moaning about this remaster constantly, which I've seen so much, it can get so tiring for them. As well as that, like, they must be so sick of seeing it. It must be like seeing Underground 3 over and over and over again. I get why people would want it, because they were great games. But I do feel like in some aspects the wool is being pulled over people's eyes, because, you know, of the nostalgia. I love Most Wanted just as the next person does. But at the same time, you've got to pace yourself, you've got to work out, you know, like, Ghost have got to work out what they need to do with themselves first before they can progress forward. I think they need to focus on what they want from Need for Speed. I don't think Need for Speed's dead by any stretch of the imagination. I know I've seen a lot of people like that, like, Need for Speed's dead. No, Need for Speed's far from dead. Need for Speed's a household name. Everyone knows Need for Speed. If I go up to someone in the middle of the street, chances are they're going to know what Need for Speed is, because it has such a long line, and a long heritage line. But at the same time, we all know Ghosts need to find their way again, and I'm not going to ramble about that because I already have. But if you were to give me the choice of a Most Wanted 2005 remaster, you already know what my answer would be. Anyway, with that being said, that was my little rant on remasters. I kind of wanted to talk about this for a while because it's been on my mind for a while now. It was something which was actually an Ask Hippo question a while ago, and only now I've actually got around to talking about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to go ahead and hit the like, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. You guys have been awesome. Stay safe, and peace.